Welcome to the show. This is Vision Radio 345. In the studio today I have with me Royston Dawswell. Always get mixed up with people's surnames. This guy has got a new organisation which he's put together called Reconnecting Dads. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, that's
Reconnecting
correct.
Dads. So tell us a bit about Reconnecting Dads and how it all started.
Reconnecting Dads started from a place of finding solutions more than anything else, Eden. It was something that I saw growing up and even today, that there's a lot of dads that ain't in their children's life for one reason or another. Mm-hmm. And I've heard many stories from both mothers and fathers and all the negativity. And it was like, I just got bored of always hearing the stories. I'm more interested in solutions, and that's where Reconnecting Dads came from, was like trying to help dads get reconnected with their children and having a positive impact in their children's lives.
Which is so important, because that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing there's a lot of what some people may call throwaway dads who just came in, had the child and just didn't connect. And it's so important now that we at that stage where people need to reconnect with their children and also with their daughters as well.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of young people, a lot of children crying from in the inside, you know, that for whatever reason, not having a dad in their lives. Sometimes the dad making that choice to not be in their children's life, and there's choices whereby mums are stopping good dads. This is the ones that really want to support, is the good dads that are being penalised to not being in their children's lives, and the court system that works against good dads from being in their children's lives.
Wow, that's a lot to go through, a lot to take, and we're going to break these things down. So as we go along with this new company that you've set up called Reconnecting Dads, just give me an idea of what types of topics you'll be talking about.
I think it's going to be really about solutions, the obstacles that a lot of dads face in regards to being in their children's lives. Mm-hmm. And like I said, sometimes it will be that the dad may be a young dad, right? And he didn't really have the tools, not making excuses. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's that realization as we grow that I wasn't a good dad, and, you know, I'm in a different position in my life now, and I want to almost make amends. And sometimes, so it's really about whatever the scenario is for that dad, and saying, how can we make things better, you know?
Yes.
Because ultimately, it's about these children that get hurt in the crossfire.
Exactly. And from what I'm gathering, that this Reconnected Dad will help those men out there, give them the tools to actually have those conversations, positive conversations and positive outcomes. And it can be done. But as Royston was saying, these are the issues that we need to tackle. And by getting those men together on a platform like this to talk to Royston and his organisation, Reconnecting Dads, is going to be fantastic. So what made you decide to come up with it? Because I know that is you're giving a reason, but the bigger picture. What's the bigger picture with Reconnecting Dads?
Okay, so I grew up in a single parent household. Didn't have no guidance, role model in terms of a father figure. And then working with young people that I still do, I see the same problems that I experienced as a child myself.
Yes.
And it's almost like, okay, we're having the same conversations. I'm seeing the effect of a lot of young people that is having in their lives, that not having a dad in their lives.
Yes.
Both for the boys and the daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, having the same conversations 10, 20, 30, 40 years on, and it's like, okay, I get that was real for you guys. Mm-hmm. But I'm only interested in solutions. And I think growing up in a single parent household for myself, and then being in a situation whereby I was blessed to have a son of my own, and also when I met my son's mum, I met her, she had 3 daughters.
Wow.
And I always say my girls, I never refer to them as my daughters. I say they're my girls, but I love them like my daughters. and they was my apprenticeship.
Wow. Wow. This guy's got some stories to tell, because that's going to be in another episode. Wow, there was his apprenticeship. Now, this is a guy who the children are not his, but these were the people who probably encouraged you or helped you work through, I think, situations that you thought you couldn't work through.
I think, you know what it is? I think I met my son's mum, and she, like I said, she had 3 girls. And I think when I met my son's mum, the truth of the matter, we was in our 30s. At one point in my life, if you told me that I'd be with a woman with 3 kids, I'd have been kicking and screaming and running the opposite direction.
Wow.
And I met my son's mum. I was a single man, no children. Mm-hmm. But she was just such a good girl. You know, I fell for her big time. And for me, it was like, it's really funny because someone once said to me, she came with a lot of baggage, and I felt insulted, because for me she wasn't baggage, she was a package.
Wow.
You know, so I was the one who took the decision to be with her, and she with me. So I never looked upon her as baggage, you know. And thankfully, before our son came along, it was me, my son's mum. I'm going to mention her name, Michelle, and my 3 girls. So,
wow, that is huge, because a lot of men, not a lot of men would say, some men would not even take that on. But there must have been something special about this particular individual, why he done that. And that's a great thing within itself. That just goes to show love just conquers a whole lot of things, especially when you meet somebody like that. Royston, your story is fantastic. Let's have a listen to a bit more about that, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah. So, like I said, I was in my 30s, and I'm like, unfortunately, my son's mum did pass away at some point, and it was like, when I look at her, when I think about her, I'm in awe of her. And I tell you what I say, I'm in awe of her, is because she gave me something that I'd never experienced, and she gave me our son. We had a son together. So for me, after she did pass, for me, I kind of, the thing that always stuck in my head, and this is kind of interesting. I wasn't with my son's mum when she passed.
Wow.
However, I remember what was really stuck in my head was my son's mum's passed, but I was also aware of that's his sister's mum's passed. And the greatest way I could honour her was making sure that my son and his sisters have a good relationship.
Wow.
And thankfully, I would say they do, should I say.
They do.
So I think it's really, when I reflect, it's kind of growing up in a single parent household, working with young people for 26 years, seeing so many young people that don't have a positive relationship with their dads.
Yeah.
And then meeting a woman that has 3 children. So
taking that on board as well.
Being a stepdad, and then being fortunate enough to then have my child of myself, and then my son's mum passing, and then being a single dad. So it's kind of like a full circle, and it probably made me understand even more so the importance of a dad being in their children's life. And then when my son was 10 and his mum passed, it was just like, okay, what do we do now? It's just like, okay, me and my son, and I have to make sure I do my best, step up, and make sure I make a bad situation into a great situation. And I see my son and his sisters, the relationship that they have, makes me really proud. And I think that would be something that their mum would be proud of.
How old is your son there, if you don't mind me asking now?
19. He was 19 last month.
Listen, this guy, So much respect for this man here. This is absolutely, what he's just told me to take on that on board, and a lot of people would walk away from those situations, but obviously there was something there which made Royston stay there and build and build and build, and it's beautiful the way it's actually turned out. Absolutely. But could you imagine the thought pattern and working that out, working with somebody's child which is not necessarily biologically his, but making them his own? Absolutely fantastic. So what made you decide to put your company together? I know we talked about it before, but really, what's the real aim now? What's the plan now in terms of what you're going to be doing?
I think when me and my son's mum separated after 12 and a half years, that's always a difficult situation when parents split.
Yes.
And I remember one of the things that me and my son's mum was able to do was negotiate how we move forward. Now, one of the things that I was very clear on was I said to my son's mum that I will not do the fortnightly thing. Yeah, because I don't know where that came from. Like, Dad's a lot of times I hear, I see him once a fortnight. And I'd be like, once a fortnight? That's non-negotiable. Let's make sure we're clear on that.
Consistency.
Yes, I was like, I'm not having no once a fortnight. And to her credit, it wasn't like she opposed that. And we was able to manage to do it whereby we had our son 4 nights each week. 4 nights on, 4 nights off. 4 nights on, 4 nights off. So that for me kind of taught me what we could achieve if you put the child's needs first.
Very, very good point, putting the child's needs first. And we see these scenarios all the time. We hear about them. We hear it through family or friends, or just in general talk. People are talking about the situations in life. And you hear about these things where sometimes the child doesn't come first. It becomes a selfish, ingrained attitude about that particular person. And the long-term effects and the trauma it causes later on is not what people are thinking about. But he's exactly right. It wasn't negotiable, because from what I can hear, what I'm gathering from Royston, it sounds like you had the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is the long-term goal to create that relationship and that communication, so it's firmly embedded.
It was so important. And I remember one time there was someone said to me, when I told them the arrangement, they said, "Oh, Royston, you're really lucky." And I asked them, why was I lucky? They said, because you get to see your son 4 nights every week. So I said to them, how many weeks in a year? And they said to me, 52. I said, so half of 52 is what? They said 26. I said, so 26 weeks equates to 6 months. They said, yeah. I said, well, I'm not lucky, because I get to see my son 6 months. 6 months of the year I don't get to see him. So I'm not lucky. I said, what is lucky is if I win the lottery and the bonus ball comes up. That's luck. So don't say I'm lucky.
Absolutely.
So I was really insulted by that. So and even what I did do when I didn't have my son, the 4 days, I'd turn up at his school every day just to say to him, have a good day. So I use myself, or we use ourselves as an example.
Yes.
So it taught me a lot of what could be achieved if we put the child first.
And there's an order of things with no animosity and coming to positive arrangements that make positive outcomes. And clearly we can see that now. And it's amazing, because these are the things that we need to address, and we've been doing this work, as Royston said, for a very long time. And we've got to a stage now in this era where we're having fathers who are literally disconnected, and it is time to come back, because we're living in a serious time. We can see what's going on the streets. The young boys out there do not know how to grow up as men, responsible men, because from what I can see, it's like the world's growing up, social media's growing them up, and the men who are supposed to be there, which are their dads, we need to, as Royston says, reconnect with dads. And by doing that, having these conversations with Royston's organisations, which we're going to be talking about later on down the line, or having some more podcasts regarding what he's doing, is going to be a fantastic opening for men to come in and communicate with Reconnecting Dads. How do they get in touch with you? Is there any way they can get in touch with you?
Yes, I've got a Instagram which is called Reconnecting Dads.
Okay.
And there's another one called Rad the Dad, but I need to confirm that later.
Okay.
And I've got a Facebook page which is called Reconnecting Dads. So either one of them, you can get in contact with me, and I will be in the process of getting a website done as well.
Brilliant. And we're going to be doing some episodes on some of the shows that Royston's going to be putting together. So stay tuned for those episodes. And just to come into some of the episodes you can do, because we always talked about parenting as well and parenting styles, which is really important, because we talked about this off air about parenting styles and how it affects us in general, especially men and girls as well. But just touch on that, the parenting style thing.
I think, parenting is always amazing, I think, because it's the hardest job in the world and it comes with no manual. And there's times whereby it can look that a parent's getting it right, and then people are very judgmental and thinking, why is that person doing this or doing that? But sometimes it's because if you don't know any other way, you do what you're comfortable with or with what you know. So I think parenting is always one of the things that we can always learn. And I remember one time I joined a parenting class, and someone said to me, why are you joining a parenting class? That's what they asked me.
Wow.
And I was like, because I don't know it all. And that's the long and short of it. We don't know it all. And I think until we can actually accept help, Eden, I think that's a big one, is kind of holding her up and asking for help when we need it.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's one. And I think sometimes people are scared,
Exactly. And that's one of some of the things that we're going to touch on as well, because there's so much to cover within this conversation. We're going to break it down over the next couple of weeks or months or so, especially when it comes to things like pride and acceptance and forgiveness. These are the key things that set us free and set you up to be a better person, because we have these conversations all the time. You hear these situations with parents. It's not your child. I'm going to do. But are you checking what's going to happen if you don't put things into place? If you don't come to terms with yourself? Because Royston's 100% right. We don't get it right, and I've never heard of anybody going to a parenting class, because we don't usually go to these things because we think we've got it mapped out. Clearly, we haven't, because we could see by the outcomes of what happens to those young people. I've got to say, Royston, I'm looking forward to these episodes that you're going to do and the vast amount of topics you're going to cover over the next couple of weeks, probably months, we don't know yet, but I'm looking forward to it. So I'd like you to stay tuned into this channel, Vision Radio 345, Reconnecting Dads. Remember that. As Royston said, you can catch him on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook as well.
And Facebook. Check it out. Our email is visionradio345@gmail.com. You can drop us an email there. Or, as I said, if you want to get in touch with Royston directly, go to his Instagram and Facebook page. Royston, it has been a pleasure having you in the studio today. And I'm looking forward to doing these episodes with you. This is going to be a great time, not just for us, but for us in terms of sending it out there to these young men, or get these guys in so we can work with them and make them be a better person than what they are now.
I think that I feel very humbled and honoured that you invite me onto your radio station. So thank you for that. And I think it's just about information and kind of let's share good practices. There's things that we're going to get wrong. I say to my son, I always say he's my biggest teacher. And the reason why I say he's my biggest teacher is because I know he's watching me. He's watching me. So there's times where the accountability, it's like I've got to be careful what I say, what I do, just because I know he's watching me. My girls watch me as well, in case, like, if I'm walking down the road, I keep my head straight, because I guarantee you turn your head right or left, they've clocked you looking at that person, that young lady off his ass.
Yes, because they're ready to catch you out and say, Dad, but you told me.
Do you understand?
No, but it's absolutely on point, because that is such a beautiful thing, because you don't get that. It's always you always get the opposite, the sandpaper effect, you know what I mean? But that is absolutely brilliant. But listen, we're going to leave it there, and I hope you stay tuned to this station and check out the podcast later on in the next couple of weeks or months. We don't know yet, but we'll have it in place. Royston, thank you.
Vision Radio 5, the station to be tuned in. Keep it locked. Connecting with your community. Vision Radio 345.